All right, guys, what's up? We are back with our second studio interview. Like I mentioned, guys, we are going to start doing these often. I have a ton lined up, but today we have our one and only special guest, Mr. Trey here. Trey I met him. How long has it been now? Was it like,
Since last year, April, May.
yeah, so it's been some time now. I actually got connected with him from another boy that's actually in the program. And I actually met Trey in person. We had Hoop busted his ass and busted his friend's ass and brother's ass. That's for another story. I showed a video, I showed a clip with you and all that. But yeah, I wanted to bring Trey on just because it was kind of long overdue as far as the interview with him and also like a lot of the other students. But if you want to kind of give them a warm intro in terms of who you are, what you do, where you're from, we can kind of get straight up into this.
Yeah, so my name is Trey. I'm from Long Island. I currently reside in upstate New York, where I finished out my high school career. I graduated during the pandemic. So when I went to go to college, I didn't like what they were doing because they were giving me a bunch of online courses and stuff. And it kind of changed the trajectory of where I wanted to go. So I dropped out of college and I started doing, content. I started making music, thinking that I wanted to go the entrepreneur route. I failed a whole bunch of times. I went from rap into videography and photography. Picked up a camera. The people in the community loved it. Then that's where I got in tune with McQueenie. I seen him at my first ever videography shoot. McQueenie's part of the creator program as well, and he kind of put me on to what you guys were doing with TikTok, where I met you. And then I got put onto my first brand deal. I learned a whole bunch about TikTok, and now I use it to the best of my ability for my business. And I also do brand deals with you guys every now and often.
Let's go. Let's go. Heck yeah. So I know you mentioned even then, like they don't know the whole backdrop behind the when you were a rapper, when you done music. I guess take us back to like where that all started, and then how were you able to kind of discover from being a rapper, getting out of that, and then transitioning into picking up the camera and doing what you do now full time, which is videography.
Yeah, so when I was younger, I grew up in Massac, Long Island, so it wasn't really the best area. I kind of knew only my block. That's like the only thing I knew. I didn't really have access to the outside world. I was pretty small minded, being like a bubble. So I was around my family. I grew up in like a house of 10, and we all just freestyled. Like growing up, all we do is like the like we're going back and forth. Like we was in bunk beds, like you know what I mean. So we would
Yeah.
just go back and forth freestyling all night. Um, so then when I moved upstate, I was still doing the same things I was doing back home. So I was still freestyling, writing in my notes like lyrics and stuff. So when I actually finally started going out and meeting people in upstate New York, they were like, "Yo, you should really like do something with this. Go on SoundCloud, whether it's SoundCloud or all platforms." So I started putting out music. People loved it. Then I started dropping on all platforms because my first couple songs was on SoundCloud. Started dropping on all platforms. That gained traction. I met up with a producer out here in the area. Then I got to do garage ciphers, like the same thing that I'm kind of doing with this, where it's like network, meet a bunch of people, gain
Mhm.
as much information as possible, use it to the best of your ability.
Mhm.
So I started doing that. I started getting a couple shows, but the money wasn't where I wanted it to be. So it was like in upstate New York, to get the connections in this area is pretty hard. So
Mhm.
um, a lot of these artists don't really have the funds to continue and have that longevity. So I stopped doing it because of the money. I still love making music,
Yeah.
but I needed to find something else that I also loved that was gonna actually put money into my pocket and put food on the table. So when I
Mhm.
started picking up a camera, what I wanted to do, I dropped my last album, the last album I ever dropped. It was called Trade the Album. I dropped it, and then I wanted people to listen to my music in basketball games because my whole thing,
Yeah.
I was grew up playing basketball too. Um, so I hit up these athletes and I told them, "Hey, I'll hire a videographer for you if you could play my song, like kind of like an exchange type of thing. If I hire a
Mhm.
videographer for you, you play my song when you come out as your intro." A lot of these people just ignored me. There was like, you know what I'm saying, that kind of pushed me over to the side. So what I did was I ended up buying a camera, or my girlfriend bought me a camera. I bought a lens and I learned how to do sports videography. So instead of hiring them, I'll shoot it myself. All you got to do is play my song when you come out.
Mm.
Turns out, turns out I was amazing at what I did and people loved my work. So I just kept going to shoots. And then very slowly it was like content, music to the side. I just kept doing content. And then
Mhm.
now I just built this huge community in the sports realm up here, which is
Yeah.
it's crazy. I'm forever thankful for.
Yeah, 100%. That's sick. Yeah, that's dope how kind of it all evolved from, like you mentioned, the music, but like you mentioned, music was a passion of yours, but it wasn't paying, so you had to make that transition for it to make sense. I
Yeah.
guess as far as music being that thing, do you feel as if music was something that got your foot in the door as far as when you enter the videography world? So, like, let's say, for instance, if you wanted to work with a specific athlete, you basically propose on, hey, I have a camera, I'll do XYZ for you. And if I do this, this is what you get. This is what you give me in exchange. Do you feel like you still have to do that in a way to get your foot in the door? Or are you pretty credible in the space now to show? I mean, well, you are credible in the space because you have the work to show for it. But do you feel like at that moment in that time, that was your way into the door to get your foot in the door to get kind of building up to where you are now?
I think in the beginning it was yes, it was that. So some people knew me for my music, so it was like, okay, maybe I'll hire this guy or I'll bring him out here because he makes music. He looks like a credible source. You know what I mean? And then
Yeah.
everything else was on me. So I would look up, there's a website out here in this area where you can look up every game that's going on today. And then you can look up their roster. So then I
Mhm.
use their roster to look up their Instagram. I found their Instagram and I shoot them a DM. It's kind of like what we do here, where we
Yeah.
reach out to the brands, be like, hey, I could do XYZ for you. So I did the
Yeah.
same exact approach with the players. It just got on a bigger scale when I joined you guys. So I was
Mhm.
like, okay, I can do this all the time now. So I was spending all my time reaching out to players, following players, reaching out to their coach, reaching out, like emailing coaches and
Mhm.
organizations to for an event to get a media pass. And it just took off like that. And I just still do it to this day. And now TikTok just brought it on a huge, like a bigger scale that I'm
Yeah.
trying to fucking keep up with.
Yeah.
Shit is crazy.
100%, 100%. And do you feel like when you were reaching out to these people, because like you mentioned, in some sort of way, outreach correlates in many ways, right? From even the business model that you were in the industry and even what we're currently in both today. But do you feel like, as far as that being said, when you were reaching out to those athletes, it was like you mentioned, it was at a smaller scale. Do you feel like it was harder to get towards, like get to them, or like how do you feel? Like, how do you feel you were going about that, or the results when you did it?
Um, I think what I was doing was keeping myself like in a bubble where I was just reaching out to the same couple schools.
Okay.
And then once I like Utica, so like with this area, it's like Utica, it goes where I went to school out here, which is like a very small town. Like I graduated in a class of like 300 in this area. And then it's like Utica is a bigger area, and then it goes Syracuse, and then it goes Buffalo. You know what I mean? So it
Mhm.
just continues to get bigger. So when I last year I went to Utica only really.
Mhm.
This year I started hitting a bunch of Syracuse schools, and then everybody knows each other. So it's like word of mouth. So then it just gets bigger that way. So I
Mhm.
think it's just going to the bigger city areas and shooting for the better players, the better
Mhm.
athletes, where they start reaching out to other people to be like, hey, shoot for this guy. And then it's just
Mhm.
word of mouth that way.
Yeah. It's like a whole referral system that you built out.
Right.
Yeah. Sick. Okay. Heck yeah, dude. Heck yeah. Well, I know you mentioned as far as like in the beginning of the intro on how you even got introduced to all this, but kind of walk me through and walk them through in terms of like how did you discover creatively and kind of what made you want to join all this?
So at the time I had left my job. I left I was working at a casino. I left the job and I want to pursue my sports. I had a big head. Like my head was like this. So when I left my job, I was like, I'm gonna just pursue sports videography because it was during the playoffs. I was getting booked a fairly amount, but I didn't realize like at some point the season's gonna end. You know what I mean? So I was
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
I'll figure it out. I was confident in myself to bet on myself, and I left the space. And then I seen that McQueenie was doing this TikTok amplifier stuff and
Mhm.
TikTok shop. And I had TikTok, but I didn't utilize it as much. I never really used TikTok like that. Everything was on Instagram. And I was like, you know what? I feel like this is a skill that I can learn. I sent it to my girlfriend first, and I was like, hey, maybe this is something that you would be interested in. Whole
Mhm.
time I was more, I ended up being really interested in it myself. So I read
Yeah.
through everything. We both sat down together and we signed up for a TikTok shop affiliate. This was during the loophole time where you can get a shop account with like 0 followers, which was
Yeah.
like the best shit ever. So we was doing that. Then that's where I met you, and then we landed the brand deal with Cupid's Pheromone Cologne. That was the first ever brand deal that like the whole group chat I think was in it for the most part,
Mhm.
and we tried our best to sell our colognes and stuff. Then I got introduced to kalodata.com where I could find products myself to sell, and I ended up selling. I like 2 months into the program of me learning how to do TikTok shop, I started selling that bear, the Mother's Day bear,
Mhm.
which is like was my biggest paid product that I got the most commission for. And that was in the month of May.
Mhm.
Me and I think Isaiah was crushing it that month. It was crazy.
Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah.
100%. And I remember when you had what was the I remember you had that first viral video. What was the video at? I think what like 1.3 or was it higher than that?
Yeah. The first one was 1.3. And if I would have known what I know now, I would have made a bunch of reply comment
Yeah.
videos and kept doing the same thing. But I only did that 2 times.
Yeah.
And the first one was 1.2, the second one was 3.2, and I
Yeah.
stopped. I don't know why. I didn't know at the time because it just happened so fast.
That's how it be. You get that high dopamine spike. You're like, okay, I don't know what to do and how to go about it. But like you mentioned,
Literally.
now you know, like you get a viral video, you know how to capitalize, even kind of
Yeah.
what you're doing now with like the videography stuff. So yeah, 100%. And I remember because that was like a way of starting out. It's like with like you mentioned TikTok Shop back then, you had that loophole, and that was just a way to build out your portfolio because that's something I preach to just the students in general. Like build out a portfolio, even if it's on the shop or even regularly. So when you're going to pitch these brands, you kind of have something to show for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what was like the biggest mindset shift for you when you found out, or when I taught that you can land these high ticket paying brand deals as a content amplifier without having a following? Like, what was the biggest mindset shift there?
I think it was when everybody was posting in the group chat the wins column, when everybody
Mhm.
was seeing the win column that people are actually getting paid for this. And because I feel like in the beginning everybody starts off with, it doesn't happen really, like it's kind of like a scam, like you're gonna waste your time on doing all these brand deals and all these things and not really gonna get paid for it. But I think the wins column is like a proof plus a motivation to be like, hey, we can do this. I can do this. You can do this. Look at
Mhm.
everybody in the group chat. We're all being successful. We're all getting brand deals. We're all doing something positive. So I think the
Yeah.
wins column was a big mindset shift because looking at it being like, oh, okay, this guy, I know this guy, like McQueenie, like having somebody that I know in the chat, like, okay, I know him. That means that I could do it too. Then when I
Mhm.
seen even my first commission when it was like $2, I was like, okay, if somebody could buy a product from me, that means that I can be an influencer to them and I could be an influencer to many people. So it just pushed me to keep going.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like you mentioned, I think being able to see that within the group and see other people do it, it's like one of those things where it's like, I mean, if they're doing it, they're following the framework that they're given, it clearly works. And like you said, I think once you get a first taste of that, even some type of online money or just anything in general from a skill or something you've invested in, you kind of say like, okay, this could probably work if I continue to go harder and do it. So
100%.
100%. Yeah. Okay. What was your walk us through and tell them as far as what was your like most successful brand deal or partnership, whatever you want to call it? What would you say if you're talking in terms of success or even largest brand deal? Anything can work.
I think my most successful one was La Stella because of how big that it grew. And
Mhm.
it's the only account that I still have, like where I can go back into it. And I have about like 7,000 followers and I'm pretty sure it's over a couple million
Yeah.
views. And it was so many different angles that I could have used for the product. And it didn't make me the most commissions I've ever made, but it was my most successful in terms of viewership.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I tell them all the time, it's like realistically, all it takes is just that one case study in order to set you up. And once you have that, I mean, realistically, because Trey does this like part time in and out because he's doing videography now. But realistically, if he wants to go pitch a brand, he has that to show for because he has a success and he's shown that, okay, he understands how to go basically viral for almost any product. So now that you have that, it's something that you could always use and leverage, even if it's not idle or if it's inactive at the moment.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as content goes as a whole, dude, and this is something that I kind of harp on just with my creators and even just anyone getting into the game, because content at the end of the day is mental. What's like one of the biggest challenges that you feel as if you face when doing content?
Um, I think my biggest challenge is timing. I
Mm,
think timing, having a set routine because of the fucking shit that I do. So it's like the videography,
mm,
editing, and then having to find time to actually sit here and do my content. I think that's the biggest challenge that I face content wise. I
mm.
think when it comes to a brand deal, I could always figure out an angle
Yeah,
to go about it, to go viral with it. And especially once I post and see that there's a lot of traction, I know how to now capitalize off of it. But I think it's just the timing of really sitting here because where I live, everything is like 40 minutes away from me. So if I have to go to a shoot, I gotta leave an hour early. If I gotta go to work because I work part-time right now, I have to leave an hour early. So it's like
Mhm.
timing is everything. Then I have to meal prep. I gotta cook meal prep. So I think it's just incorporating the camera into my daily life really.
Mhm. Yeah. And how have you, I guess, from when you started to now, how have you been able to manage that? Or what have you done?
Um, I gotta prioritize certain things. I think that's how I've been able to manage it. Or be like, okay, my sports videography business I'm more passionate about, so I prioritize that as a first option.
Yeah.
And if I have time to do the other things, I will, but it always will start with my sports videography.
Yeah, 100%. Do you feel
Yeah.
like in the beginning of it all, you weren't really clear? I mean, would you say back then when you were starting more becoming a content amplifier, was videography something still? I mean, you're still building it up, don't get me wrong, but I guess the position as far as client wise and everything in terms of the videography part, where were you then versus where are you now with all that?
Where I was at then, when I first joined you guys, it was I was around May, so the basketball season here was over. So I had
Yeah,
way more time to do whatever I needed to do.
yeah,
The clients, I didn't have a big enough clientele to hit me up to be like, oh, I have a spring league or an AAU season going on in X, Y, and Z place. So a lot of the time it was just I didn't go to no shoots at all. So I was just at home doing videos and I prioritized the TikTok content as you would have seen last year, I was posting damn near every single day, very active in the chat.
hmm
So I think right now it's versus right now, I'm in the middle of the basketball season. It's getting hot because it's the playoffs and I have to be at every fucking school.
hmm
I don't have to be at every school, but I feel like I do. You know what I mean? Because like I feel like it's my priority to do it. So
yeah,
I'm like in the middle of like the hot season, but I
yeah.
feel like well, once that's over, I'm gonna be right back to where I was at last year.
As far as like content, like with
Content.
brand and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, what would you say that season is probably coming about? Is that like what, May, June?
March. So
Oh, shoot.
February. So this month the playoffs are gonna start in like a week,
Yeah.
and then once that's over, the sectional finals and all the finals in this state finishes by March 7th. So
Oh, wow.
once that's over, it's like right
Back.
back into my stuff.
Yeah. Exactly. And like the thing about this whole entire skill set, like I even say, is just like you don't lose it, right? I mean, you've been able to apply it to your videography business, and even now, where if like he mentioned, one of his priority right now is videography. Once that's over, he can get right back into this and start making the income that he wants because there's no true cap to what you can make in this game, especially with these brands. Would you agree?
I 100% agree. I agree that there's more capital in TikTok and what you're doing than
Mhm.
compared to the sports videography realm and what I'm doing right now. I think that there is still is a bigger market. I just haven't found the ability to scale it the way I want to yet.
Yeah.
Like find a paid wedding shoot where they're
hmm
gonna pay like over 10,000. Like these shoots are a couple $100 every now and then. You know what I mean? So the weddings is where it's at. But when I get back in the TikTok space, I know I'm gonna make 10 times more than what I'm making right now. I'm still
Yeah.
doing it. Like I when I made the account, the sports videography account,
hmm
I'm starting to get exclusive campaigns sent to my account
hmm
so I can create a sound based off the sound that they give me. And then
hmm
I join like a leaderboard. And if I rank on the leaderboard, they give me money for it. I didn't
hmm
know I could do that shit.
Yeah.
But I'm not, right now I'm in a leaderboard. I'm ranked number 4. So they're gonna give me $220 if I still rank there. I didn't know
That's
that
the
shit.
yeah.
So I'm starting to use that off of TikTok, bro. TikTok is crazy, bro. I'm not gonna lie,
That's a lot-
TikTok is
crazy
crazy.
opportunity. That's what I be telling people, bro. It's
I
like
should have been doing this a long time ago.
it's very much still early, 100%, 100%. Okay, so walk them through, dude. Like, as far as like, how long did it take for you to get your first like brand deal? I guess when you joined to when you got that initial first brand deal.
Um, damn, I joined and I feel like I immediately got a brand deal with the Cupid's Pheromone Cologne, but that was also a brand deal that you guys gave to us. And then the next one I think was Smile Labs. I think it was the Benjamin. The
Mm,
next one was the Benjamin, which was also brought by your you guys' Discord. I reached out to them. They got me on the brand deal. And that was my second most successful brand deal because that grew to, I think, about 4,000 followers in like a month's
mm-hmm,
time. So it was the fastest growing one. Again, it didn't make the most commissions. It just grew up it grew to the most followers and the most viewership.
Yeah.
So it was fairly quick. I'm not gonna lie. I landed a couple brand deals like back to back really fast.
Yeah. 100%. Then you build off kind of what you did. I know with that the pen, it wasn't the best comp in terms of all that, but I mean, you still got the experience and also just that. It's like I said, another case study that got added on to kind of what you were already doing. So,
Yep,
like, that's
exactly.
one of the things. That's like the biggest thing for like a lot of creators. I tell them is just like don't focus so much on the money, just because in the beginning it's worth just sitting down and actually honing in and building out the portfolio. Because it's like with videography, you want to sit
Yeah,
down for free for a term, and then from there, once you get to the point where you're credible enough, you can start charging these people.
yeah. That's literally with like almost everything. Like if you want to
Yeah.
build a portfolio on something, nobody's gonna believe you or trust you in the beginning. So you have to build something for yourself for free to show these people that you're worth their time.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And yeah, just gotta, like I said, I think the biggest thing for any creator getting into the game, and we both noticed, is just detaching yourself from the outcome, because even creators like ourselves, as good as ourselves, I mean, not to hype us both up, but we're fairly, good creators, where to the point we have points of times where we have views or videos that get 0 views, 1 view. And it's the
Yeah.
biggest part. That's the hardest part, I think, mentally as a creator. So I guess as far as that goes, like, would you say, was that anything that you dealt with in the beginning, like discouragement within viewerships, like views and stuff like that on your videos?
I think I think viewership I try not to pay attention to, but every creator pays attention to their
Yeah,
numbers. So like
hard not to.
it's definitely discouraging if you make a post and it's like doesn't get to where, especially if you spent a lot of time on it and then you make a post where it takes you 5 seconds to make it, and it gets 10 times more the viewership. So
Hmm.
it's like sometimes it does get discouraging, but it's as a content creator or influencer, you have to just keep going as the days goes on and keep stacking days. So yeah,
Yeah,
it gets discouraging for in the moment, but if you make another one, just literally just keep posting. Like every good influencer, good content creator just continues to post until they hit something.
yeah. It's that pushing. It's the resilience, bro. Just pushing through it and just continuously testing and reiterating. Because all it takes, I mean, we both know this, bro. All it takes is just one to set everything up and
That's
set
all it takes. Then you
the
find that angle.
and you double down. Exactly, exactly. Okay. So I know I asked you this before, but as far as just like the duration of when you were in the program, because I know, like I said, Trey's not actively doing this. He's doing it every now and then, but a lot of, like you said, his passion and priorities is videography. But I guess actively when you were making money, what were you doing in terms of just like, if you can throw a number out there to them, like when you
Um,
actively, not versus you being in a program, but like when you did it and you like dedicate time into it, what were you seeing actively?
there was a month. It was during the Mother's Day bear where I made 7 grand in like 3 fucking days. It was the craziest shit. It was right before Mother's Day when it started taking off.
Yeah.
So I think my biggest month was around 7 to 8 thousand, and then after that, the brand deals is what was paying me more. So like on retainer. So I
Hmm.
was making a couple grand every month. Um,
Hmm.
but right now obviously it's slow. I think TikTok shop for me was bigger for me because I was able to find a product that I liked and then utilize the angle for it because I feel
Hmm.
like I knew it worked. I finally got my TikTok shop back. That was a big wall that I hit, was losing my TikTok shop account. And then now I finally have it back. I sold a couple of those the earwax tools that
Yeah.
are on TikTok. I sold a couple of those. I made a like probably like $50 to $60. If I would have kept going, I probably would have made more. But again, the sports videography fucking takes over. But I
Yeah.
think my biggest month for sure was 7 to 8 thousand.
Yeah, 100%. And even then, I guess as far as those brand deal retainers, how are those going? Like, how many did you get of those? I don't truly remember exact numbers. Like, what would those look like when you actively were doing it? Because you're
I
reaching
was
out to brands. I know you were reaching out to
yeah,
brands too. Really.
I was getting 1 to 2 a month. I didn't want to take on too much, so I kind of limited myself to around 1 to 2 a month. Um, but I can't name all of them, but I know I had a couple good 500 to 900 ones per month.
Hmm.
And then there was one deal with the B Bread, the Divine Nectar people, and Mason and all them guys.
Yeah.
I was on brand deal with them for about 6 7 months of
Hmm.
just continuously paid retainer. So
Yeah.
that actually paid my rent for me. So I just
Wow.
continued to work with them, and then just for the months on, and I didn't really feel the need to reach out to other brands at the time
Hmm.
because I knew that that was my retainer. I didn't want to spread myself too thin, so I just focused on one.
Yeah. Yeah, you just answer every question that I tell these people all the time, and just people in the chat. It's like the biggest thing that I didn't realize early on. I even tell like Ian this too, and all the other creators. It's like focus on trying to just build out a relationship with XYZ amount of brands. Or like you mentioned, you want to be able to have those deals where a brand owner is paying you for the next 6 to 7 to 8 months. Because it's like if you don't, then what happens is you catch yourself chasing these retainers and brands each month, where you're just like it gets draining, it gets tiring. So like being able
Yeah,
to perform. I assume you were performing really well for B Bread, which made him like, yo, let me just continue to pay this guy, which it resulted into your like rent and stuff being paid.
yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Okay. So, dude, what would you tell someone, I guess, like who's listening to this, who's wanting to start? Like, what would you give? What's the actionable advice that you would give them? Because a lot of them believe they need this big influence and big following. I guess what would be the advice, or someone listening to this, what would you tell them?
I think with TikTok, you don't need a big following.
Yeah.
I think that your following can grow fast on TikTok, faster than any other social media platform. So if you're starting at 0 followers and then you're passionate about whatever you're passionate about, post it on TikTok and you're gonna see the results way on a bigger scale than what you would see it on Instagram or you know what I'm saying, any other
Hmm.
social media platform. When I posted on TikTok, the amount of comments and engagements and saves that I got on TikTok compared to it's the same post. I
Yeah.
would make a post on Instagram and get 10 comments. I posted the same exact post on TikTok and got over 200 comments, over 10,000 more likes.
Hmm.
And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. Like, so I think that just pick up if you're a content creator, pick up a camera and just do it. Literally just do it. Just start posting videos. Like how you teach these beginner TikTok content when they join your program, you literally just be like, all right, find anything in your house, whether it's a book or something,
Hmm.
record it and make a video on it. Then you're gonna get critiqued in the chat and you're gonna learn how to get better. There's a whole bunch of different ways to get better. There's loopholes
Yeah.
around it, but you just have to start it because you know there's levels to it. You just got to get to those levels.
Exactly. Just in the beginning, gradually. It's like the worst part of it all. It's like building out that foundation, because once you really establish the understanding of how to make product-based videos, because that's the biggest thing, right? It's one thing just to make video content and videos over just your personal life versus doing it for a product. Once you get in the habit of doing it, and then like you mentioned, it just becomes something that becomes second nature. Like for the both of us, we could whip out our phone, make out a product-based video pretty quickly.
Yeah.
100%, 100% agree with all that. If there's like, if you can go back kind of when you started with all this, like what would be the one piece of advice that you would give yourself if you were starting from zero again and doing all this over again?
Capitalize off the big video.
Yeah.
That would have been my big thing. Like nowadays, when I made my sports video posts, I made a part one, I made a part two, I made a part three.
Mhm.
Once I seen that there was an
Yeah.
angle to, so I just continued to capitalize off it. Back then, I didn't capitalize off anything. If I seen a big product, I'd be like, "Oh, damn, I'm making a lot of money off of this product. Let me just go to the next one."
Yep.
I should have just
Yeah.
continued to make different angles of the same product. It's like a money glitch. Once you find out the angle, it's just a continuous money glitch. Like it's crazy.
Mhm.
So I think I would have told myself, keep posting the same damn product. Post it for like
Yeah.
2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Keep going until the viewership just dies out. Like soak as much out of that product as you can. That was what I
Exactly.
would tell.
Exactly. It's a shiny object. And then also just the discouragement. I think sometimes that can catch someone to want to switch and move from product to product. But this is something where if you genuinely actually like creating content around, stick through it despite those low views and everything like that. So that's
Yeah.
a really good point. I'll leave you with this last question, dude. As far as just anyone watching this, what's kind of one of the most common mistakes that you see in this game from any new creator?
The most common mistake I see from a creator is, and the most common mistake I think is text on screen. Is text on screen, but also not taking advantage of the opportunities that you should be taking advantage of in the beginning.
Mm,
Also worrying about the money too much in the beginning, especially
yeah.
when you're first starting out, is and when you first starting out, you should be taking advantage of everything. I feel like whether it's you're taking on 2 brand deals at a time, or if it's a free brand deal that they post in the chat and it's like, oh, we're just gonna give you retainer afterwards, but we have to see how good you do first.
Yeah.
Don't You shouldn't worry about the money in the beginning if you really want to be a content amplifier because you need your portfolio in the first place. So don't turn down anything. In the beginning, say yes to a couple like things that you know that you're capable of. Even if you don't think you are, get out your comfort zone. Say yes to it. Once you get it, figure it out. You know what I mean? So I would say take advantage of the opportunities given to you off the road.
Well said. 100%. Well said. Yeah. Big thing that you mentioned is just like, even if you see that first opportunity is not a paid brand deal, it's like, take it, because you can't expect someone, like you said, and even I say this, you can't expect someone to hand you their credit card and then expect them to pay you when you've not done anything and anything to show for it. That was huge, dude. 100%. Dope, bro. Well, I appreciate you for jumping on. You got anything else you want to say to the people? If not, where can they find you?
I would say keep making content and keep chasing whatever dream that it is you want to chase, because a 9 to 5 ain't worth it, in my opinion. I feel like even if you're getting paid good in your 9 to 5, find something on the side that you truly love to continuously do, so you can chase that dream that you've. Everybody in there, everybody in the 9 to 5 that I've worked with, I'll be like, what do you really want to do? You know what I mean? What is it that you really, and everybody has something that they really want to do. So
Exactly.
keep chasing what you really want to do. And you can find me on Shot with Trey on Instagram and TikTok. My TikTok is Shot with Trey Boy, TR3BOY. So Shot with Trey Boy. It's right here. But yeah, you can find me on there, where I post a lot of my sports videography pages and, you know, things that I like to do. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Let's go. Let's go. I'll drop your at in the description as well, so you guys can check out a lot of his content he's done, kind of what he's doing, and guys can kind of see how he's going with the videography. But other than that, I'm going to close this out, bro. I appreciate you for getting on. You guys probably see more videos like, oh, you guys will see more videos like this. But appreciate you for having you on, bro. Let's keep crushing.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll go from there.
Thanks for having me, man. It was a fun time.
Let's go. Let's go. All right, I'm going to stop it. Hold up. I don't know how to stop the recording.
You click the button.
Oh, here it is. Stop recording.